10 types of elderly people. WHO live a hard life in old age. Old age is an inevitable stage in everyone's life. It is a time when the body is no longer as flexible as before. Health begins to decline, and many social and psychological issues start to appear. However, not everyone is fortunate enough to live a comfortable and happy life in old age. Without proper preparation in advance or adequate care and attention from family and society, old age can become a significant challenge, leading to a life of hardship and scarcity. Below are 10 types of elderly people who often face difficult, even painful, lives as they grow older. People who live alone, lacking support. One of the most difficult situations for elderly people is living alone. When family members or children cannot stay nearby or provide care, the elderly must manage their lives on their own in their later years. Every day becomes a challenge when there is no one around to help with healthcare, household chores, or even simply having a conversation. Many elderly people feel lonely, emotionally deprived, and have no one to take care of them when they are sick. Furthermore, basic household tasks, like cooking, cleaning, and even grocery shopping, become more difficult as their physical abilities decline. Life becomes exhausting and monotonous, with the fear of an uncertain future growing larger each day. People without a stable income. A key factor that makes life difficult for the elderly is financial hardship. After retirement, not everyone has enough pension income to live comfortably. Some people don't have retirement insurance or savings to rely on in their old age. They may depend on their children, but not all families are financially able to support aging parents. These individuals often live in poverty, carefully managing every penny, even having to forego basic needs to make ends meet. They are often reluctant to spend money on small things like a trip or a treat for themselves, simply to ensure they have enough for essential expenses. People with poor health and chronic illness. Health is one of the most important factors affecting the lives of the elderly. As people age, they face numerous health issues. Chronic illnesses such as high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, back pain, impaired vision, and hearing loss are common. These health problems not only diminish the quality of life but also make elderly people feel weak and unable to care for themselves. They need help from family or friends, but not everyone has someone to support them. Additionally, long-term treatment for these illnesses, requiring constant medication, adds another burden for the elderly. People who feel lost in the modern world. The world is changing rapidly, and one of the greatest challenges for elderly people is their inability to adapt to the rapid development of technology. Elderly individuals who cannot use smartphones, computers, or online services often feel left behind in today's society. Not being able to communicate via apps, shop online, or make electronic payments makes it difficult for them to access modern conveniences. Moreover, when they need help, they may not know how to search for information or reach the necessary services. People without friends or social relationships. The life of elderly people becomes even more difficult when they lack social connections. Many elderly people, after retirement, lose their friends due to age or their social relationships gradually fade away, leading to loneliness. Without anyone to talk to, share joys and sorrows, their life becomes empty. Prolonged loneliness can affect not only their mental health but also their physical well-being. In some cases, a lack of social relationships can contribute to mental health issues such as depression or anxiety. People living with children but facing abuse or neglect. Not every family has a harmonious relationship with their elderly parents. Some elderly people live with their children but suffer from abuse, neglect, or being taken advantage of. They may be forced to work beyond their capacity, ignored in important decisions, or treated unfairly. Even though they live with family, they may not feel loved, respected, or properly cared for as individuals of value. Such a life becomes burdensome and hopeless, devoid of joy and peace of mind. People who did not prepare for old age. Many people throughout their lives do not have a clear plan for their old age. They may lack savings, health insurance, and any thought about where they will live in their later years, leading them to face a difficult life. When they grow older, they can no longer work and have no other sources of income to maintain their living standards. This leads to a life of dependence on children or relatives. In fact, elderly individuals who do not have financial planning or healthcare arrangements when they are younger will face many hardships. People who have lost their spouse, One of the greatest losses in the life of an elderly person is the death of their spouse. After losing a partner, elderly individuals must live alone, facing all life's challenges without someone to support or share with. This loss affects their emotional well-being and creates more difficulties in terms of material needs. Tasks like healthcare, household chores, and financial management become even harder without a partner. The feeling of loneliness and emotional deprivation can lead to mental exhaustion. People with memory loss or mental health issues. Memory loss, Alzheimer's disease, and other mental health problems are common concerns for the elderly. When they suffer from these conditions, they lose the ability to care for themselves and face risks such as forgetting to eat, getting lost, or not recognizing dangers in their environment. Not being able to take care of themselves leads to numerous difficulties in daily life, and can even cause problems for their loved ones who are responsible for their care. People living in rural areas with limited healthcare services. In rural areas, the lack of medical facilities and healthcare services is a significant issue. Elderly people living in these regions cannot access quality medical care, and there is a shortage of doctors, medications, and necessary medical equipment. When they face health problems, they cannot receive timely medical attention, which worsens their condition. This makes life harder and more difficult for elderly people, especially when they are unable to travel far or lack the health to visit medical centers. Old age is an inevitable journey, but life in old age is not always easy or happy. Without careful preparation, and without the attention from family and the community, elderly people face many challenges. Therefore, creating a supportive and caring environment for the elderly is the responsibility of all of us. We need to take practical measures to ensure that the elderly have a peaceful, healthy, and meaningful life in their later years. Experience of living alone at the age of 70. Life is a long journey full of unexpected turns. When we are young, we often envision growing old alongside someone, surrounded by children and grandchildren, with a warm and bustling household. However, when one reaches the age of 70, not everyone is fortunate enough to realize that dream. Some lose their spouse, others have children who live far away for work, and some, due to circumstance or choice, find themselves living alone. Living alone at 70 is not just a way of life, it is a deeply emotional experience. An internal journey with many layers. There is loneliness, but also tranquility, emptiness, but also freedom. It is a stage where a person is compelled to return to themselves, not chasing wealth, status, or social validation, but facing their own heart, their past, their present, and the ever-nearing horizon of the future. The initial feeling, emptiness and loss. The early days of living alone at 70 can be the most difficult. There is no longer the sound of conversation in the house, no one to share meals with, no familiar footsteps or greetings. A cup of tea, a corner of the room, or an old chair can suddenly stir memories of those who are no longer there. Familiar objects become strange in the absence of loved ones. Waking up to silence, with no one to ask, "How are you feeling today?" and no footsteps in the evening to signal someone returning home. These are the moments that echo the void. Holidays and celebrations only deepen this feeling, bringing back memories of once joyful family gatherings. Sometimes, the sense of abandonment creeps in, not from weakness, but from a deep human desire to connect, to be loved, and to feel seen, gradually adjusting to independent living. Over time, however, many elderly individuals learn to adapt. Living alone transforms from being a fear into a chosen lifestyle. No longer bound by the needs of others, no longer burdened by responsibilities. They begin to take care of themselves more intentionally. They learn to go to the doctor on their own, cook nutritious meals, choose their own rest times, and enjoy hobbies like reading, walking, or listening to music. Even something as simple as grocery shopping and carrying bags home becomes a small, proud victory. I can still do this. Without the bustle of daily demands, they now have the time to notice the small wonders of life, the rustling of leaves, the sunlight through the window, the chirping of birds in the morning. This quietude allows them to slow down, reflect more deeply, and appreciate the present moment. Loneliness, a familiar companion one learns to accept. Loneliness never fully disappears from the life of an elderly person living alone. Despite getting used to it, there are still evenings filled with a quiet ache, rainy afternoons heavy with memories. But instead of resisting it, They learn to face it as an old friend, not with resentment, but with gentle acceptance. Many find joy in small things, tending to potted plants on the balcony, caring for a cat, joining senior clubs, or simply calling an old friend to reminisce. These small, warm interactions become vital threads that weave meaning into their days. A precious time to truly live for oneself. Living alone at 70 can also be a time of self-reclamation. No longer defined as someone's spouse or parent, they rediscover their individual identity with emotions, dreams, and desires that were once set aside. Some pick up old passions, learning to play an instrument, painting, writing memoirs, or even traveling if health permits. Living alone teaches them the value of silence, the strength of inner peace, and the impermanence of life. They start to live with a sense of gratitude for health, for memory, for still being able to feel the sun, the wind, and the comfort of a hot cup of tea. Living alone at 70 is not an easy path, but it is not as sorrowful as it may seem. It is a journey of returning to oneself, of living according to one's own pace, unshackled by the outside world. There will be days of sorrow, but also days of quiet joy, moments when one realizes, I am still living, and living meaningfully. Old age, even when lived alone, can be a deeply fulfilling time if one knows how to accept it. Nurture self-love, and keep a peaceful heart. When you learn to befriend yourself, no place ever feels lonely. 90% of elderly people suffer stroke due to this seemingly harmless habit. When thinking about old age, most people imagine peace, rest, and a well-deserved break after a life of hard work. However, this very peace can sometimes conceal hidden health risks. Among the most dangerous illnesses in the elderly, stroke, also known as cerebrovascular accident, is often considered a silent killer because it can strike suddenly and leave devastating consequences, or even cause death within minutes. What is even more concerning is that many older adults assume they are safe just because they eat healthily, don't smoke or drink, and exercise lightly each morning. They carry on with daily habits that seem harmless, unaware that those very routines, if not practiced correctly, are actually silent triggers leading to stroke. One of the most dangerous yet common habits is sitting too long, staying inactive, and not changing posture. 1. Prolonged sitting, a common habit among modern seniors. With increasingly comfortable lifestyles, many older adults today no longer need to move around as much as they used to. Heavy chores are handled by younger family members, and their lives slowly shrink to the confines of their home. They spend hours sitting and watching television, reading, drinking tea, or even dozing off in a chair. They believe this is proper rest. However, excessive rest and physical inactivity, especially as a long-term routine, lead to bodily stagnation, poor circulation, and serious decline in biological functions. 2. The silent stroke mechanism behind prolonged sitting. Slow blood flow, formation of blood clots. Sitting for long periods, especially with legs bent, impedes blood return from the lower limbs to the heart. Blood becomes stagnant in the veins, forming clots. These clots can travel to the brain and block an artery, causing ischemic stroke, the most common type, accounting for over 80% of all stroke cases. Weakening of heart and lung functions. Prolonged sitting decreases the efficiency of the heart's pumping ability and slows blood flow, while also reducing lung capacity. Over time, seniors may experience fatigue, shortness of breath, brain hypoxia, and dizziness. This weakens the central nervous system, making them more vulnerable to stroke when faced with stressors like weather changes, strong emotions, or lack of sleep. Disruption of blood pressure and glucose control. Contrary to popular belief, inactivity doesn't stabilize blood pressure, it worsens it. Lack of movement causes metabolic imbalance, leading to unregulated blood sugar and pressure. Moreover, bad cholesterol, LDL, isn't burned off and starts accumulating in the arteries, causing atherosclerosis and narrowing of blood vessels supplying the brain. Mental health impact, an indirect yet dangerous factor. Too much solitude, little social interaction, and absence of meaningful activities can lead to mild depression, insomnia, irritability, or even social withdrawal in elderly individuals. A prolonged negative mental state not only reduces life quality but also disrupts hormone regulation, especially increasing cortisol levels, a stress hormone that constricts blood vessels, raises blood pressure, and accelerates vascular aging. This is a fast-track route to stroke that many fail to recognize. Common caregiver mistake: loving but unintentionally harming. Many caregivers operate with the mindset of not letting the elderly do anything tiring, believing that sitting or lying down all day is best. However, this overprotectiveness can lead to reduced mobility, weakened muscles, and poor vascular elasticity. As a result, even a simple action, like standing up too quickly, sneezing, or moving from an air-conditioned room into the sun, can trigger a sudden drop in blood pressure or a stroke. Practical prevention methods: establish a structured daily routine, every 30 to 45 minutes of sitting. Stand up and walk around for a few minutes. Stretch, or take deep breaths. Maintain a habit of gentle daily exercise. Elderly people don't need to engage in strenuous workouts. Simple activities like slow walking, light cycling, tai chi, gentle yoga, gardening, or even light housework are sufficient. Stay socially engaged. Conversation, community involvement, and social groups can improve mental well-being and reduce stress. Regular health monitoring: check blood pressure morning and evening. Test cholesterol, blood sugar, and heart-lung function at least twice a year. Educate caregivers. Understand that seniors need physical activity suited to their capacity. Their longevity and stroke prevention rely heavily on maintaining regular movement. The truth is, stroke isn't a sudden accident from the sky. It starts with small daily behaviors that people barely notice, especially the habit of sitting too long without moving, which is dangerously common in older adults. While we can't turn back time or stop aging, we can change our lifestyle habits to minimize risks. Don't wait for a stroke to strike before appreciating health. Start today, with small actions. Each step you take, each time you get up, help keep the blood flowing and life enduring. With strength and vitality, living long doesn't mean living well, but living actively is the key to true longevity. The hidden causes of stroke despite regular exercise and a vegetarian diet. In today's world, where awareness about health is growing, many people have adopted healthier lifestyles by changing their diets and incorporating regular physical activity into their daily routines. Among these habits, a vegetarian diet and consistent exercise are often viewed as pillars of a healthy life, believed to prevent diseases and prolong longevity. However, reality proves otherwise. Many individuals still suffer from strokes despite following these supposedly ideal habits for years. This has left many people confused, even disillusioned about the value of their efforts. The question is, why does this happen? What causes someone who appears very healthy to suddenly collapse from a stroke? The answer lies in understanding that health is a complex and holistic picture. It is not defined solely by appearance or a few good habits. A vegetarian diet and regular exercise can become double-edged swords if done incorrectly or without balance. Furthermore, there are many hidden risk factors that people often overlook. This article will explore in detail the possible causes of stroke, even for those who live what seems to be a healthy lifestyle, and provide insights into how to truly protect your health more comprehensively. A stroke is not a random accident. It is the culmination of a long-term buildup of risk factors, some visible, others hidden. Even if you maintain a vegetarian diet and exercise regularly, you may still be at risk of stroke if you fall into any of the following scenarios. 1. Overconfidence in a seemingly healthy lifestyle. One of the biggest reasons healthy individuals still suffer from strokes is overconfidence. When someone eats clean, avoids animal products, and exercises daily, they often develop a false sense of security, believing they are immune to serious illness. As a result, they may ignore warning signs or skip regular health checkups. However, many conditions that lead to stroke, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, or atherosclerosis, often develop silently over time. It's not uncommon for someone to be diagnosed with chronic hypertension or discover blood clots in the brain only after suffering a severe stroke. Therefore, living healthily should complement, not replace, regular medical screenings and health monitoring. 2. Improper vegetarianism, nutritional imbalance. Many people follow a vegetarian lifestyle without thoroughly understanding nutritional requirements. They eliminate all meat, fish, eggs, and dairy without adequate plant-based replacements. This can result in deficiencies of critical nutrients. Vitamin B12 deficiency, essential for blood production and nerve protection. A prolonged lack can damage the brain and raise stroke risk. Iron, zinc, and protein deficiency, affecting blood circulation and immune function. Lack of omega-3 fatty acids, which help maintain arterial flexibility and reduce blood clot formation. These are found in sources like flaxseed, chia seeds, or algae oil, not always part of every vegetarian's diet. Additionally, if the vegetarian diet is heavy in refined carbs, like white rice, noodles, sweets, deep-fried foods, or processed meat substitutes, it can raise blood sugar and bad cholesterol levels, direct risk factors for atherosclerosis and stroke. 3. Overexercising or inappropriate physical activity. Exercise is healthy only when done in moderation and suited to one's physical condition. Some people overtrain, use incorrect techniques, or push their bodies beyond limits. Common mistakes include exercising on an empty stomach or right after a large meal, disrupting blood pressure and heart rhythm, skipping warm-ups, which prevents proper vascular adjustment and may trigger spasms, running long distances under intense heat, leading to dehydration and added cardiovascular stress, late-night workouts that interfere with sleep and affect the central nervous system. These seemingly minor habits may become the tipping point for weakened blood vessels, leading to sudden strokes. 4. Age and genetic predisposition, hidden, uncontrollable risk factors. No matter how health-conscious you are, you can't fully escape the influence of genetics and aging. If your family has a history of stroke, hypertension, diabetes, or cardiovascular disease, your risk is naturally higher. Moreover, after the age of 50, blood vessels start to lose elasticity, and internal organs begin to function less efficiently. This creates conditions favorable for plaque formation and blood clots. Without proper medical tests like blood work, heart ultrasounds, EKGs, or 24-hour blood pressure monitoring, it is extremely difficult to detect these silent threats early on. 5. Prolonged psychological stress, the silent killer of brain health. Chronic stress, anxiety, or depression, though soft in nature, profoundly affect blood vessels and the central nervous system. Even if someone eats well and exercises, ongoing emotional tension, irritability, and insomnia can lead to increased cortisol levels, a hormone that raises blood sugar and blood pressure while tightening brain arteries. Unmanaged psychological stress is one of the leading modern causes of stroke. Even in people who outwardly lead healthy lives, health is a multi-layered picture, where every detail, no matter how small, plays a role in shaping the overall outcome. While a vegetarian diet and regular exercise are excellent foundations for well-being, they must be accompanied by scientific understanding, bodily awareness, routine health screenings, and thoughtful adjustments. Don't let false confidence be your downfall. True wellness is not merely the absence of disease, but the harmony of proper nutrition, suitable exercise, emotional balance, and proactive medical care. When you learn to live healthily with knowledge and awareness, you don't just reduce your stroke risk, you build a resilient, truly healthy life. Don't just live healthily, live consciously. Your health deserves intelligent, holistic care. Methods for healthy aging to live peacefully in old age. Old age is not only a sign of physical decline but also a return journey toward stillness, reflection, and inner balance. When work, responsibilities, and the hustle and bustle of life fade into the past, people begin to seek a new way of living, one that is peaceful and serene. But peace of mind doesn't come naturally. It is the result of a thoughtful process of healthy aging, nurturing the body, mind, and spirit to gracefully enter the later chapters of life with clarity and calm. Healthy aging is not only about taking care of the physical body but also about cultivating emotional well-being, maintaining social connections, and living in harmony with oneself. Below are key methods to help the elderly live more peacefully and happily in their golden years. 1. Nurturing the body, proactive physical health care. Health is the foundation of all joy. Elderly individuals should give special attention to maintaining their physical well-being through a mindful lifestyle. Balanced nutrition. Prioritize easy-to-digest foods rich in fiber, low in fat, And limit sugar and salt. Eat smaller, more frequent meals to reduce strain on the digestive system. Gentle daily exercise. Walking, tai chi, light yoga, or simple activities like gardening help keep the body flexible and reduce stress. Adequate sleep. A deep and restful sleep helps restore energy and maintain mental clarity. Regular health checkups. Early detection of illnesses allows for timely treatment. Avoiding unnecessary complications. Caring for the body is the first and essential step toward building a peaceful old age. 2. Nurturing the mind. Cultivating positivity and letting go. A peaceful soul is essential for a peaceful life. In old age, people must learn to let go of regrets, grudges, and anger, because holding on only causes suffering. Meditation and deep breathing. Practicing mindfulness each day soothes the mind, eases anxiety, and brings one back to the present moment. Learning forgiveness. Not only forgiving others but also forgiving oneself. Life isn't perfect, and people are flawed, so choose to live with a light heart. Positive thinking. Instead of complaining, seek joy in the simple things, a blooming flower, a bird's song, or a warm family meal. When the heart is calm, everything feels lighter. Nurturing the mind is about building inner strength to weather the changes of aging. 3. Nurturing the intellect. Staying sharp and curious. Wisdom is one of the greatest assets of old age. A sharp mind helps elderly individuals remain independent and feel valuable and respected. Reading, listening to music, writing journals, engaging in mentally stimulating activities helps slow cognitive decline. Joining clubs or learning groups, sharing knowledge and staying intellectually engaged fosters vitality and social connection. Sharing life stories. Recalling and passing down personal history to children and grandchildren keeps memory alive and strengthens family ties. Nurturing the intellect means staying mentally active and continuously evolving, no matter the age. 4. Nurturing relationships. Staying connected to family and community. No one can truly live in peace while feeling lonely. Healthy aging requires healthy relationships, warm, sincere, and meaningful connections. Spending time with family, chatting with children and grandchildren, bridging the generation gap with empathy and care, joining social or volunteer activities, participating in community programs keeps the elderly engaged and feeling included. Gratitude and affection. Expressing love and appreciation daily strengthens emotional bonds and uplifts the spirit. Genuine human connection is the vitamin for the heart. When one continues to love and be loved, they feel truly alive, not just existing. 5. Nurturing the spirit. Living ethically and in harmony with nature. Ultimately, peaceful living means aligning with the natural flow of life, accepting what cannot be changed, and finding meaning in the simple. Spiritual practices, if one has faith, prayer, chanting, or reflecting on life bring comfort and help ease the fear of death. Avoiding conflict and competition, choosing humility, patience, and mindfulness fosters inner peace. Acceptance of life cycles. Understanding the natural process of birth, aging, sickness, death helps one face the future with courage and serenity. Spiritual nurturing is not limited to religious beliefs. It's about cultivating virtue and finding purpose in life's ordinary moments. Old age is not an end but a transformation, from action to stillness, from chaos to reflection. A fulfilled life is not measured by wealth but by how peacefully one lives each moment. To achieve that, healthy aging must be an intentional journey, one of mindfulness, patience, and grace. Take care of yourself starting today, your body, your mind, your intellect, your relationships, and your spirit, so when you reach your twilight years, you can smile and say, I have lived fully, and now, I live peacefully.